Good afternoon, Trump's family. Thank you for joining me. How are you? Have a good night, everyone, and God bless you. Alright, now we will come to today's news. And it looks like we got some more information regarding of Paul Pelosi arrest. That took place a couple of months ago. If you guys remember, he was pulled over for drunk driving. He actually hit another vehicle while under the influence. We don't know what this injuries or what took place at the scene as far as that driver was concerned and his involvement with Paul Pelosi. You Depop Pelosi again. I still will continue to ask this question, and Paul Pelosi decided to give this guy some extra coin to not follow any additional charges against him. We'll have to wait and see, but we did get to find out some more evidence on what actually took place at the crime scene during that time when Paul Pelosi was pulled over by the California Highway Patrol after his accident. So let's go take a look what we have here. It says Judicial Watch. Records our records reveal Pa Pelosi invoked wife Nancy's name and shared his police charity membership during his DUI arrest. Oh, Paul Pelosi. Anyway, it was really what we have here. Conservative watchdog group Judicial Watch on Friday announced obtained records from the California Highway Patrol Public Records Unit related to their arrest of Paul Pelosi. The records include 44 photos and 5 hours of audio and video footage depicting and the misconduct and arrest of Paul Pelosi, husband to the Speaker of the House Nancy Pelosi. The watchdog group reported Paul Pelosi husband as Speaker Nancy Pelosi dragging Lee crashed into a Dream while driving in Napa County on May 28. There's this Porsche right, and we see the Jeep right here has some damage. So Paul Pelosi last month pleaded guilty to 1 count of driving under the influence. Pelosi will avoid jail time, of course. Plus he had red watery eyes and was unsteady on his feet and had a strong odor of alcoholic beverage immediately from his breath. Mr. Posey also handed the arresting officer's Alumni 9 Foundation card along with his ID to show he supports police officers. Much of a bribe, right? Of course, I've already showed you guys these sobriety tests before on another video. According to the records obtained by Judicial Watch, Paul Pelosi invoked his wife's name Nancy and shared his police charity membership during the arrest. And yeah, you can follow the link in the description. You can check out this article which has the embedded video. Judicial Watch obtained those records on June 14. Public access requests for the information regarding policies May 28, 2020. To rest in Napa, California. For suspected alcohol intoxication while driving. Video footage from Pelosi. The rest depicts his interaction with the officers. He makes reference to himself as a high-profile person, to which the officer responds with, "Right. I understand who you are. Now, I'm not out here to do anything to draw any negative attention to you. If you were being honest with me, that's really nothing you should be worried about." Pelosi next invokes his wife's name, telling the officers his wife, Nancy, is back east on the East Coast. Their response to policies and saying that his wife was dancing. The officer says, "I will discuss this with my supervisor." What he's willing to do, just because we know you're a high-profile person, and I'll consult with him what he wants to do at this point. Next, Pelosi insists that he should be able to call an Uber to pick him up. But the offense explained that releasing a DUI suspect to an Uber driver is against the county policy. But Pelosi insists that he will give the Uber driver a tip or whatever the hell he needs. Pelosi continues to insist that the Uber driver pick him up, but officers are sponsor. "We've done everything we could do to work with you. Now you're just dragging out." Pelosi replies, "May I speak with your captain, please?" To which the officer said no. He already hung up. "We're going around in circles here." When he asked for driver's license, Pelosi handed the police officers his donor card. See the Highway Patrol Bananaville charity along with a California driver's license. Photos upload his Porsche from the crash scene also shows his license plates bears the 1199 Foundation's logo. The material shows Paul Pelosi tried to name-drop Pelosi name during his arrest, stated Judicial Watch from Tom Fitton. Just like these elites always want to name-drop in order to get off of the responsibility that they have, indeed, brought upon themselves. And this is just another example of how the left operates. People like Paul Pelosi as an elite doesn't think he has to sit there and abide by the same rules that the average citizen has to abide by. Therefore, he thinks he's special and above the law. It is a very tragedy of justice that he did not go to jail. And now, the Wicked Witch of the West is back. Of course, you know instantly who I'm talking about. Hillary Clinton emerges from the shadows and she's back doing her media tour. And guess what the topic is, friends? Well, after the last couple of weeks, as we've seen, The Democrats have taken on the strategy of going after MAGA Republicans and Donald Trump as evil Nazi domestic terrorists. Hillary Clinton said, "Hey, that's my stick. I'm the one who started this whole damn thing. You guys aren't going to bask in the glory of going after Donald Trump and his supporters, otherwise known as the basket of deplorables. Without me now, Aria, and so Hillary Clinton, or probably Hillary Clinton's, I don't know, agent, publicist, whatever it is, calls all the major news networks and all the major events and gets Hillary Clinton signed up for multiple appearances. Because of course, as we know, Hillary Clinton doesn't leave the woods, doesn't leave her forest unless it has something to do with Donald Trump. I mean, it's just completely crazy. If you think about it, it's been 6 years, lady. You think at some point you'd get over it that you're such a disaster. You're so incredibly unlikable that people elected a risky, untested, orange reality TV show host instead of you, who then ended up becoming an absolutely fantastic president. Do you think that you would get over it? At some point you'd find solace, you'd find peace in your heart, but of course not. Hillary Clinton is filled with endless misery. And here she is projecting her misery, her hate, and frankly, her bigotry on the rest of us. Once again, Hillary Clinton does her media tour and you won't believe what she has to say. Let me show you guys exactly what's going on here. We've got some stuff to get into. Alright, it was just too juicy for Hillary Clinton to avoid. Hillary Clinton compares Trump fans to Nazis who were drawn in by Hitler as she claimed supporters at his Ohio rally performed a non-index finger salute. Trump camp called her attack pathetic and divisive. Everyone listen to this, Hillary Clinton said. I remember as a young student, trying to figure out how did people get basically drawn in by Hitler. How did that happen? And I'd watch newsreels and I'd see this guy standing up there ranting and raving, and people shouting and raising their arms as what's happened to these people. Why did they believe that? You saw the rally in Ohio the other night? Trump is there ranting and raving for more than an hour, and you have these rows of young... I'm selecting my words carefully here, folks. I'm not saying defamatory for no reason. That's exactly what this is. This is what Democrats these days do. And Hillary Clinton is a big part of it. Like I said, she started the whole basket of deplorable it's nonsense that since snowballed into semi-fascist and threats to our democracy and all the other nonsense with a maggot extremist garbage that we're hearing. These people have completely lost the plot. It reminds me of that old movie from the 90s or possibly the early 2000s. The Scary Movie, that classic scene with Marlon Wayans, except all edited a little bit. And as you can see, everyone in the crowd just regular-looking folk raising their hands in what seems to be an oath or a prayer. And unhinged Trump derangement syndrome left Boyd nutcase Tristan Snell copies the video and writes, "Yes, this is a Nazi salute at a Doug Mastriano campaign event in Pennsylvania in 2022. Democracy is literally on the ballot in November." What talk about fake news, talk about defamation, talk about just being an overall terrible person. There's two explanations here. He's either just a terrible person or a complete nutcase or possibly both. But this is the exact same thing that Hillary Clinton is doing. And one thing we know for sure is Hillary Clinton is a terrible person and a complete nutcase. So I guess it fits the mold. These people are legitimately unstable, unhinged. Everywhere they look, they see Donald Trump's face with a little mustache. They've completely lost their mind. It's unreal. And it all started with Hillary Clinton. It started with Hillary Clinton's ridiculous inflammatory rhetoric during the campaign, the dichotomy that she tried to paint, and then, of course, the upset victory that had left Boyds go into complete frenzy. And none of them, not a single one, has yet to recover. It seems to be an illness, a diagnosis that in almost every single case is incurable. And continues to get worse and spiral down for the rest of your life, for the rest of your existence on this planet. And Hillary Clinton is the poster child, or probably the better way to describe it. Hillary Clinton is patient zero, she just can't get over it. What she's doing is horribly divisive. It's clearly selfish. She pretends as if she's doing this for America, or something for mud democracy, but it's clearly selfish. It has nothing to do with America. It has everything to do with her failed ambitions to reach the presidency, her inflated ego and feeling of self-worth, and her inability to just accept reality that people don't like her. People liked Donald Trump's policies. And she, of course, cannot get over it. She just gave a speech at the Clinton Global Initiative. And this event, from my understanding, has, first of all, nothing to do with Donald Trump. But I don't think it's an overly political event. I mean, it involves a Clinton so clearly, to a certain extent, it's political. But of course, during her speech, she just couldn't help but mention Donald Trump. Everyone listen to this. If you've been to CGI before, welcome back. I ran into somebody who said, "I'm so excited. I'm seeing people I haven't seen for 5 years." I think we all feel that way. You know, the last time CGI was held back in September of 2016, a year that shall live in infamy. I think it's fair to say that the world was in a very different place. And people have asked, okay, see what I mean by Hillary Clinton and her endless misery? She's so clearly such an unhappy, unfulfilled individual. She's so clearly scarred from her loss in 2016, to the extent or to the point where it's become toxic. It's become toxic for her. It's probably become toxic for many of her relationships and people around her, and it's certainly becoming toxic or has been toxic for the country. The Democrat loss to Donald Trump in 2016 has turned the world of politics not only in America, but frankly, it's had almost a global or definitely a Western collateral effect. It's made politics so toxic and so crazy, which of course, the Democrats would very conveniently like to blame on Donald Trump. And in the end, we really understand what's going on here. The divisiveness and the toxicity stems from them and their inability to accept election results. And there's one very clear reason as to why we're seeing Hillary Clinton show up once again with her unhinged conspiracies, and her anti-Trump or anti-Trump supporter attacks, of course, mixed in with the new DNC tactic of labeling nearly 50% of the country as mega-fascists and domestic extremist threats to the nation democracy. It's clearly because they're getting nervous. They're nervous, they're scared that Donald Trump and of course his political stock continues to rise. You can feel it, you can sense it the same way you sensed it in 2016. It's the exact same thing. And so in their desperation, they're pulling out the old bags of deplorable tactic, or bag of deplorables tactic rather, because they're clearly paying attention. Donald Trump is leading most of the hypothetical matchup races, and especially leading in all of the most important states against Joe Biden and Kamala Harris and Hillary Clinton by a massive margin that continues to widen in the most important battleground states. Donald Trump is becoming more powerful and it's petrifying them. That's why we're seeing the raid on his home and the endless investigations and Letitia James, pursuing your civil case into the Trump Organization and what seems to be now Donald Trump's entire family. But again, folks, in the end, it all spells one specific word: desperation. And if these Democrats can't get something to stick the Donald Trump comeback, the resurgence Donald Trump versus the world version 2.0, Donald Trump versus the world man versus machine, the sequel is clearly going to be the blockbuster of 2024. I can't wait, folks. But again, in the end, it all spells one specific word: desperation. And if these Democrats can't get something to stick the Donald Trump comeback, the resurgence Donald Trump versus the world version 2.0, Donald Trump versus the world man versus machine, the sequel is clearly going to be the blockbuster of 2024. I can't wait, folks. Alright, thanks for being here, folks. Please receive a big hug from all of us. Let me know down below if you like these updates. Remember, where we go, one